So I wanted to share my final unboxing of an item that I was really waiting for quite a while, my Dakota Lithium battery. This is to power my trolling motor on my kayak. I highly suggest that when you get your charger, you fully check all the connections on it to make sure there's nothing loose or broken on them. Now, some of the biggest reasons why you want to check this is this unit took me almost about a month and a half after I placed my order to receive, which actually cost me a little bit too in a previous tournament. But either way, we'll move forward. As you can see, I went with the 12 volt 100 amp hour. With this kind of power supply, it's going to last me more than enough than what I need it for. But I thoroughly checked the casing for any defects or scratches to make sure that it's okay, so that way if there was any problems I could return it. Hey, check it out, you also get a free sticker with this also. Can't complain on that. I highly suggest that when you receive this battery, you thoroughly read all of the disclosures and anything that could possibly void your warranty. This kind of battery comes with an 11-year warranty, and something like this, I don't think you want to make sure you skip any of the details, because the amount of stress and headache you have to deal with, especially if you're depending for this on a kayak for a tournament or just personal use, you want to make sure you get the best efforts that you can out of this battery. So one of the other key important factors is when you are setting this up, make sure you add the thermal grease and you pre-thread the bolts into the battery just to make sure that it goes in and out smoothly. So that way when it's time for charging, you are set to go. So as you can see, the charger that it comes with is a 12 volt 10 amp hour charger. The Dakota Lithium comes with this charger in your unit when it arrives at your household. It also comes with a set of alligator clippers that are already pre-threaded and pre-wired already into the charger to make the charging issues a little bit easier to deal with. Now make sure you don't touch these while it's actually connected to the wall. You could fry the charger itself. One of the most key important elements that you're going to need too is a circuit breaker. I ordered a Mini Coda waterproof 60 amp hour ignition breaker. Now the reason I went with this one is because it is a requested one to use from Mini Coda, and since the motor I'm using is a Mini Coda, I decided to just keep going with the same brand because I didn't want to have any potential issues with ordering some kind of a cheap knockoff from another dealer. But you have to remember that when you're setting this up, to make sure you have the connections running thoroughly. As you can see, I have the power wire that runs from the very bottom of the red cap of the circuit breaker. That's going to go straight to the Anderson connectors. I decided to go with Anderson connectors because the other connectors that I had when I bought the kayak were not thorough and strong enough, and they actually overheat. As you can see from these upper sections, so these are my two terminal leads. This is what's going to be connecting my positive and negative terminal to the actual circuit breaker and the other connections. So one thing I suggest is when you start to set this up and you're bolting it in, make sure not to forget to add your thermal grease, but you can just simply hand snug these at first. Make sure you have the negative as going to the negative lead terminal. So that's going to be the negative terminal, which is going to be black, and the red gauge 6 gauge terminal is going to be going to the positive. So red is positive and black is negative, for those of you who may not know and who are just now learning how to do this. You just want to hand cinch them down, and once you get them snug just enough, I highly suggest you use a 1/2 inch socket with a ratchet. It's going to make your job a lot easier for making sure this is cinched down. The reason you want to do this with a 1/2 inch socket is because to try to tighten this by hand, it's going to be a little bit harsh on your fingers, and they do have a Phillips head on top of them too, just in case you don't have that, but there's a good chance you can strip it. I highly suggest using a ratchet for this, just to make sure you get them snug, and don't over tighten them, just enough to where you can feel they're not sliding around anymore. So now here comes the fun part, where we go ahead and charge the unit. Now when you receive this unit from the factory, it's most likely going to only be 50% charged, which means you need to charge it for at least another 5 or 6 hours, and that's actually going to be explained to you too also in their paper that they send you along with your order. Once this process is started, it's good to not interrupt it and just let it go through its thorough process, because after that 5 to 6 hour mark, you'll see a red light that's actually indicated there on the charger. Once the battery cell is actually fully charged, you will see it go from red to green. Here's a quick demonstration. This light here indicates that the battery is now in a charging state, and do not interrupt it. When you see it turn green, it is good to remove it and disconnect it. Do not let the battery overcharge, as it could damage the battery over time. In this demonstration, I just wanted to show you how I wanted to try to use it in an old box that I was using at one point for my kayak. I'm not using this setup anymore just due to the fact that it was adding too much weight, but it was just to demonstrate that how you can put it in whichever type enclosure you have. You can add your tackle or any of your baits or lures next to it. An example to it, I would use this box as my rod holder. So here you have two tackle boxes, and then I would actually add my fish finder in there just to give you an indication of, how much things you can put in there inside this box. So I'm sure a lot of you have a valid point. Why did you decide to go with this type of battery? Honestly, the warranty and the type of quality of battery that I was getting and the fact that it's well respected and well known around the world made me want to go with this. And to use another factor for why I chose this, in the last event that I participated into was with the Wild West Bass Trail in Clear Lake. I pretty much went almost 9.25 miles with this battery within a 6-hour period, and the battery still had juice in it. So for that reason is why I decided to go with this. And again, the warranty actually did help me push more towards that direction. Don't get me wrong, I do have Bioino batteries too. I have a 20 amp and a 40 amp hour. But at the time when I was trying to order it through them, they were also having issues with supply and demand chain. So for that reason, I just ended up going with Dakota Lithium because again, they had a better warranty under their area. Well, I hope this video was useful and informative for you guys to help you make a better decision on your next battery purchase. As always, if you guys like what you see, leave a like, comment, subscribe, but most importantly, keep heading out there and keep fishing. Thank you guys for your time. Have a good one. Tight lines.